Hello to part 2 of tutorial Lab 1. So in part 1 we learned that we covered simple task in R, creating variables. This time we want to create a vector because for variable simple we can work with the three numbers, but it is important for us that sometimes we have a vector and more than one number and we want to save it in an argument and work with that vector. So we want to learn how to create vectors. So this time we want to create, for example, x. And for example, our x is a sequence of numbers from 2 to 12. So in here we type it x colon 12. So if we run it, so we see that here x is this number. Now if I called from now, what is the x? You will see that x is a sequence of numbers starting from 4 to 12, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's why you see that here x changes and it says that now x is a vector of size 9 values, and it is from 4 to 12. Or you can another way you can create a sequence of numbers with a different way. So you can use a sec command. So for example, y equals to seq. So you'll see that R automatically suggests you that the built-in command sequence. So for the sequence, I need to start a starting point, type a starting point. I want to create the same as x. So a starting point is 4. What is the endpoint? 12. And then that's if I call it by, so you can either run this one, and then you'll see that now I'm saying that what is y. So if we run the y, this line, you'll see that y is now is from 4 to 12, the same as x. But this time I want to change, copy and paste it here. I want to change it, and I want to have the sequence of numbers from 4 to 12, but I'm not interested in all of them. I just want to have the even numbers. So I can write it by equals to 2. It means that create a sequence of numbers and save them in y such that 4 plus 2, the first number is 4, and then let me run it to show you. And then now this time, if we call this one, for example, as a y, so you see that right now it's a y. The step is 2, equality steps, equality space. So 4 plus, the first number is 4, the second number is 6, 4 plus 2, 6, 6 plus 2, 8, 8 plus 2, 12, 10, 12. Or another sequence is that you can use the sequence this time. I save it in y2 argument. Y2 is a sequence of numbers from this time 4 to 12, for example, but I use the option length 25. It means that create a sequence of numbers from 4 to 12, but they are equally spaced, and this the length of this sequence is 25. So if I run this command, so you'll see that y2 is created. So I need to I need to call what is y2. So y2 is, you see that is a sequence of numbers 4. They are the length of the y2 is 25 numbers. We want to have a sequence of the numbers of sequence of 25 numbers between 4 to 12, and they are equally spaced. That's the sequence number. The next thing is that now we want to learn how to assign creative vectors of the data. So for example, I just want to have create a new variable height. For example, in our class, we select 5 students, and we want to measure the height of these 5 students. So if the height is my new argument or my new variable, because I want to type it, so I need to type in the C as because I want is a vector to show R that this is the what I want to add is the vector. So vector of the 5 heights of a student. For example, the first one is 65, and then the other one is 70, the height of the second student, 66, 68, what else? 65, and this is the 5, and then 62. So if we you can either highlight it or just as long as the cursor is in this line, run it and then the height. So now you'll see that R created a new argument height has the 4 elements, and these are the values or the data in stored in height. So if I type what is height, so what is height and run it, of course, height is these 6 numbers. Now I can index a vector. What does it mean? It means that I have access to all elements of the height. For example, I want to calculate what is the height of the third student. So I run it height. Then I use the command bracket. So bracket open, bracket closes. So then type it here. This gives me that I'm not interested in all the height of students. I just want to see that the height of the third student. The third student is 66. So if you run this command, we should get 66. And if you run it, you'll see that you get 66. But what about if I'm interested in the height of more than one student? For example, I'm interested to calculate the height of the first student and the fourth student. So because again 2 numbers, I need to add them as a vector. 1 and what was 5? For example, 5. So 5. So it gives me the height of the first student and the fifth student, and both of them are 65. Or you can add, because it's an editor, I can add it, and 6 give me the 1, 5, and 6. And then you see that 65, 65, and then the last one, 62, the third one. What else if I want to calculate the height based on the centimeters? So simply, we know that in order to change them to centimeters, so we need to height times 2.56, 54 inch to centimeters. So that's why, so if you run it, so you will get the height of the first student was 65 inches. Now it is the 165 centimeters. The height of the second student now it was 70. Now it's 177.80 centimeters, and so on. Then now let's see that another magic for is what height bracket -1. What does it mean, -1? It means that if we run this command, you see that in other words, R returns all the height numbers excluding the first student. So that's the first individual is deleted, and then it returns the other values stored in height. So that's why height -1, it gives us 50, 70, 66, 68, 65, 62. Or if I change it to 3, it gives me all heights except the third one. So if you run it, this one, so you'll see that you're getting the 61, 60, 65, 70, and 68. You don't get the third one. So now let's focus. We want to have another variable about our students. For example, for those 5 students that we measure their heights, now we want to measure their weight as well. So we assign it to weight C. For example, the first student is 142 pounds, 183, 100, 160, just I'm just creating numbers 101 and then 162. 1, 2, 3. Oops. 100. We don't have any 11. 140. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you run this one, so you see that it's we type in the editor, and by run it sends you to the console, and the console run it immediately. Now if you type it wait, so R recognize that there is a one wait saved our local variable. So that's why we say that yes, we are interested in that variable, and we hit the enter, and it gives us our data set, our data, or our vector. And now we can calculate whatever we want. For example, consider that for these 5 students, now next we store the name of these 5 students, and we want to assign it to a new variable name. So name is C, but this time, because the names are character, and because of they are character, they are not anymore number, they are character, we need to add them, we need to put them in between the quotation. So quotation mark. For example, the first name is Marta, and then the second one is that it doesn't matter if you use this quotation or the one quotation. The next one is the John. The third one is Armin, and then the other one is Sarah. And the last one, no, we have 2 more. We need 2 more. Jennifer, for example, Jen, and then the last one is Jeff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you run this one, name is, and we want to, if you want to calculate the length of the vector, simply type length. So you see that it recognizes the command length, and then we need, when we type length, we need to add the variable. So name. So if you run this one, it says that there are 6 arguments or 6 values in this variable. So we covered everything. Now it's time to so I stop here for the second. No, I think I do have 3 minutes. So so now cover very quickly the operations, simple operators on vectors. Consider that we have 2 vectors, for example, x. In my new x, call this one x1 now. X1 is the new variable, a new variable which has 4 elements, 4, 5, 2, 1, and 4. And then we run this one. And then the next one, we create a y2. y1, for example, is a C 15, 12, 10, 13, whatever. And then this 2. So you see that R created 2 new variables. And we want to see that do the simple task. For example, what about addition? So x1 plus y1. So x1 plus y1. So you get 24 elements. What does it mean 20? It means that if you look at if you run x1, so x1, the first element 5, the first element of y1 is 15, 5 plus 15 you get 20, 2 plus 12 you get 14, and 1 plus 10 11, and then 1 plus 13 it becomes 14. What about if I ask y1 divided by x1? So you get 4 values, and this 4 value 3 is that 15 divided the first element of y divided by the first element of the x, 15 divided by 5, 3, 12 divided by 2, 6, and 10 divided by 1, 10, and 13 divided by 1, 13. And what else do we have? Or if you calculate x1 to power 2, so if we run it, of course, it is 5 to power 2. 5 squared is 25. 2 squared 4 1 1, or logarithm of x1, and then if you run it, of course you get the logarithm of the first element, logarithm of the second element, and logarithm of we know that logarithm of 1 is 0. So what else? The next thing that we want to do is that we want to see how, if I have two vectors, how can I combine these and create a matrix? So, for example, I just want to have a matrix that the x values are the first column and the y values are the second column. So I can use command cbind. Cbind, it means that combine x, whatever you are adding here, column wise. So x should be the first column and then y should be the second column. If I run this command, so you will see that uh, oh, yeah, I'm sorry, we x and y, it returns the previous x and y, x1 and y1, because we have x1 and y1 here. So if we combine these two, so you'll see that the x1 values are the first column, y1 values are the second column, are placed in the second column. What about if I want to combine x1 and x2 and create a matrix such that x1 values are in the first row and y1 values are located in the second row? So I need to use rbind. So it means that rbind such that my first row should be x1 and my second row should be y1. And if I run this one, you'll see that it gives us the matrix of 5 by 2. The first row are x1 values and the second row are y1 values. So that's the end of the second part of the tutorial, and I'll cover the next section in the next parts.